So you got a slingshot that requires tying on the slingshot bands because there's no mechanical attachment. When you buy a slingshot from us, it should always come with 2 sets of slingshot pouches with bands tied on and 2 sets of nibbly bops that you're going to use to tie the bands onto your slingshot. Now it doesn't matter whether you've purchased one of these Feiyu forks, a Chinese design with a small peg head. I think this one was the G-Shot or something. That was one of my favorites, shooting flies with it. Our Hornet design here, or a SimpleShot. This is like the Torque, the more slimmed down one. I can't remember, Torque X. Or you're just making a natural fork slingshot. I'm going to show you the 2 ways to tie on bands to all of these so that you can get out there and start shooting. First off, we'll clear all these away, and we'll just keep it simple, and we'll do it to the Hornet. This is the same, like I said, for all of the other slingshots, though. You're going to lay out your slingshot like so. Take the pouch, and you have it the pouch side, ammo side up, and you can tell what that is because the tie-on folded back on this side will be where you want the back side of the pouch. The inside of the pouch where the ammo goes will be clean and come down like this. You lay that over top of your slingshot, and you want to do this as evenly as possible. Pick a certain amount of overlay, I think about 3/4 to 1 inch, and you lay that down at the end of the slingshot. Then you take your nibbly bop, place that under your thumb, pinching it like so, and wrap it 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and pinch it with your finger on the back side. This is where it gets a little bit difficult, and people, your first time, don't be disappointed. Sometimes you mess it up and it becomes unraveled. Just start over again. Make sure it's laid out. Your pouch is ammo side towards the target, logo side towards the target. Lay that over top of the slingshot and tie it on with 3 wraps. 1, and if the first one gets bunched, you might want to just wiggle it around, unbunch it. 2 and 3. Now you're pinching that tail so it's hanging down. Fold over right there. Fold it over, and then another 3 wraps. 1, pulling it tight as you go. 2 and 3, and then you want about that much tail, 1.5 inches to 2 inches of tail still after your 3rd wrap. This last wrap goes over your thumb, comes around, keeping it tight, and then use your thumb. After it goes, I'll show you again once more. Goes over the thumb, come around, and go under your thumb. And you're going to pull that tail underneath with your thumb, pulling it through, creating like a little quick knot. You don't want to have a very short tail on here. If anything, if you got extra tail, then you can snip it off, and I would leave about the 1/2 inch to 3/8 of an inch there. Now this is where it gets confusing, and sometimes you'll make a mistake. You want to lay your band all the way out, and then bring that back around so you're tying on the same amount. Every once in a while, I'll be doing it really quickly, and you tie it on wrong, and you'll be looking at it, and you'll be like, what is going on here? Something is wrong. And you've tied it on, you've got a twist in it when you tie it on. So laying it all the way out, and then bringing that around and mating it to the slingshot the same way you did your first one, setting up your same amount of overlap. The second one's a little bit harder sometimes. Let's get in there. So you get it pinched under your finger, and you do 1. Oh, see? Even I can mess these up. You pull it tight, bring it around, lay it on top. Now it pinches it. Pinch it with your finger. 2 and 3. Each time you keep it fully stretched as you're doing this. Fold the tail over of the bands. 1, 2, keeping it fully stretched each time as you come around. 3, and now put your thumb down, go over the thumb, come around, stretching that fully out, putting it under your thumb, and pulling and poking that little tail underneath of there. I've seen some people use a band assistant, and they put a little piece of string under there, and they wrap it all the way around, and then they poke that through their little string loop, and they pull it down through. Personally, I think it's really quick just to do it this way. You want to make sure each of those 6 wraps are over top of the bands, and it's folded over. Now your bands are all set to go. Now to know you got it right, you're going to see that the bands come over the top of the slingshot. That's your side towards the target that you've chosen to be towards the target. and your pouch with the ammo side facing the target. And you're gonna notice, I'm trying to see how to show you this, but right there in the slingshot, all right, Matt's gonna add, yeah, hold that, there we go. We're gonna add this in the graphics. You'll notice that the bands create a V right here. So there's the digital V in there, and if you tied it on wrong, and when you have your ammo side towards the target and your slingshot side toward the target, and you find it like this, and the V, you'll see an A fits up into there. There, see that digital A? That means for absolutely wrong. V for victory, A for absolutely wrong. Let me just say one other thing about slingshots in general. I can never say this enough. Every time you go out to shoot, grab it, check the bands, stretch them, look for damage. If you've had a frame hit and you made a mistake and it hits the frame, it could have pinched the band and cut a cut in there, and that's why I always talk about in my how to shoot slingshot video, draw it down and away from you, testing the band out, and then aim, and always check them before you start shooting for the day. Check out that how to shoot a slingshot video for more instruction on how to get your shots on and be hitting things consistently. The second way I started doing it was because of natural forks, and these ones here, the peg heads, they seemed a little bit sharp. So instead of laying it out like normal, and I picked this side to be towards the target, or the same thing with this, I'd pick this side to be towards the target, it's facing up. My pouch is there. Instead of laying it on like we did with the Hornet, sometimes I go like this, and I lay it this way with the ammo side down, the side that your fingers are pinching down, and I put the tail hanging out above the end of the slingshot, and then I start my wraps. This creates, when the band pulls over the top, a protective layer of plastic to keep the shooting layer of plastic from chafing on the top of the slingshot. But it's just the same thing. This is a little bit more finicky to get used to. 3 wraps, and then you fold this over, and at this point you'll be able to see if you're doing it right, because you'll get another 1, 2, 3 wraps on it, and then over your thumb, under your thumb, pull that tail under and pull it out, and now you'll be able to see that your slingshot facing the target side and your ammo pouch facing the target side is right. At this point you bring it around, and you would take it just like you would before, and you would lay it out, but this, you gotta bring it back this way. This is where it gets a little finicky and a mind twister. You gotta just follow those steps, and I'll do that again. You have it laid out. Now that you've done your first wrap, you can see that excess tail is now protecting the slingshot band from chafing on the top of the target with these metal ones here. And now that is a little bit of a sharp edge. Instead of filing it all down, that piece of extra tail works as a chafe gear to keep it from scratching and ripping the bands over time as you're using it. It makes your bands last longer. So you lay it all out, target side facing up, pouch target side, ammo side facing up, and your bands laid all out. Before, like with the Hornet, we would have brought it around like this, but instead we're gonna flip it over like we did the original one, and the other side is now down on the slingshot. Gonna wrap it, 1, 2, 3, and then you're gonna flip it over, and you're gonna do 1, trying not to get the pinched, 1, 2, and 3, and then seems like this one's thinner, so I can go a couple more times. If you have excess, use a bunch more until you get down to that last 1.5 to 2 inches. Then go over your thumb, and then get that underneath there and set that tail into place. And as you can see, I did this one a little neater, and that one got a little messier, so it's up to you how picky you want to be. But as long as those 3 wraps are over top of the band, and then 3 more wraps after you folded it over, you're good to go. If it slips off the bottom, it's fine. If you want to be picky and kind of get it all aligned, you'd be nice and clean looking. And now we're going to check it to see if we got it right and we didn't end up with a twist in it. And you can see once again, it comes over the top. Go ahead. And our V for victory fits in there. The ammo goes here. That side's facing the target. The bands are coming over the top of the slingshot. You never want to be using it with the bands pulling on it like this. That little bit of resistance of the bands coming over that hard edge of the slingshot is what prevents them from getting yanked out of there if you're overdrawing it or it's tied on and it's too short. It protects you from the bands pulling out of there, and it gives you a cleaner shot over the top of the slingshot. And you'll have a greater chance to be shooting like a pro. And if you're not shooting like a pro, make sure you check out that link in the description for the playlist, how to shoot a slingshot video, and all the other videos about setting up your target range, safe range, and having a lot of fun with slingshots. So that pretty much covers it. Be safe, have a lot of fun out there, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Fowler out.